beyond time's limits of past, present, and future. You are inconceivable in your activities. You are the master of the three modes of material nature, and being transcendental to all material qualities, you are free from material contamination. You are the controller of all three of the modes of nature, but at the present you are in favor of the quality of goodness. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto you. Purport. The Supreme Personality of Godhead controls the material activities manifested by the three modes of material nature. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, Nirgunam Guna Bhokti Cha. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is always transcendental to the material qualities, Sattvaguna, Rajaguna, Tamaguna. But nonetheless, He is their controller. The Lord manifests Himself in three features, as Brahma, Vishnu, and Maheshwara, to control these three qualities. He personally takes charge of Sattvaguna as Lord Vishnu, and He entrusts the charge of Rajaguna and Tamaguna to Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. Ultimately, however, He is the controller of all three gunas. Lord Brahma, expressing his appreciation, said that because Lord Vishnu had now taken charge of the activities of goodness, there was every hope that the demigods would be successful in fulfilling their desires. The demigods were harassed by the demons who were infested with Tamaguna. However, as Lord Brahma has previously described, since the time of Sattvaguna had now arrived, the demigods could naturally expect to fulfill their desires. The demigods are supposedly well advanced in knowledge, yet they could not understand the knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore the Lord is addressed here as Anantaya. Although Lord Brahma knows past, present, and future, he is unable to understand the unlimited knowledge of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Namastubhyam Anantaya Durvitarkyatma Karmane Nirgunaya Guneshaya Sattvastaya Sampratam. My Lord, all obeisances unto you, who are eternal, beyond time's limits of past, present, and future. You are inconceivable in your activities. You are the master of the three modes of material nature, and being transcendental to all material qualities, you are free from material contamination. You are the controller of all three of the modes of nature, but at the present you are in favor of the quality of goodness. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto you. There are many elements in this verse that we could discuss, but one that strikes immediately me, since I'm giving the class, is that the modes of material nature are not all three always present in the same degree at the same time. The modes of material nature are continuously shifting positions. Sometimes the mode of goodness is prominent, sometimes the mode of passion is prominent, or sometimes the mode of ignorance is prominent. Now, when the mode of goodness is prominent, passion and ignorance are reduced. When the mode of passion is prominent, goodness and ignorance is reduced. And when the mode of ignorance is prominent, goodness and passion is reduced. So, according to whichever mode of nature is prominent, we can understand the situation of the other two. These modes of nature are always shifting. Sometimes this mode becomes prominent, sometimes that mode becomes prominent. It doesn't stay the same. There are, of course, general trends. we can see over some period of time that, generally speaking, the people in the age of Kali are in the mode of passion and ignorance, generally speaking. But sometimes there is a change in that also. Some days, maybe there's some more goodness than other days. Or maybe over some months period of time, there's some more goodness than over other months period of time. Because there are so many factors in what causes the mode of nature to transform like this. Now, we cannot explain what causes the mode of nature to transform like that. But what we can tell you is that it does. And it does it all the time. The exact mechanism for the change may also be understood. It is not difficult. Krishna's desire, or the sum total of karma of the living entities, but exactly how that's taking place, neither you nor I or even the demigods can understand. No one can understand the workings of this material energy, even though it's material. But that power and force behind the material energy is not material. It is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is behind this cosmic manifestation. By His order, this creation takes place and annihilation takes place at the end. We cannot understand how or why Krishna does what He does. But we can understand some general principles about it. That He does. And that He does because we, the living entities, require it for fulfilling our karma, our activities, the results we are to gain. That we can understand. But to understand deeply why Krishna does what He does, that is not possible. You cannot ask questions. Of course, you can ask these questions, but we can guarantee you that there's no actual answer on the deep level. Why did Krishna make his devotees, the Pandavas, suffer in the forest for 15 years? Why did Krishna do this or that? We can give some answer. Because He wanted to accomplish His purposes. He had His plan. And this was a way to accomplish the plan. Why did He do it like that? You'll have to ask Krishna. And maybe Krishna will answer you. I don't know. But it is not up to us to second guess Krishna. Well, if I was God, I would have done it like this. Because I can guarantee you, it would have come out to be a mess. Because what we arrange generally becomes a chaos. What Krishna arranges generally turns out to be right. We've seen this. Of course, not when we're talking about, all right, now we have to arrange a Sunday feast. So we have to get together the food, we have to chop up the vegetables, we have to cook this way, we have to clean the house. This is not a very big deal. To arrange this is not difficult. Of course, if you're the temple commander, you may disagree. But generally speaking, this is not considered difficult work. Some persons are managing big corporations, which are doing all kinds of work everywhere. However, compared to the creation of the universe, even that is nothing. Management of the universe is so big a job, even the biggest corporation on this planet is peanuts compared to that. Now, to understand how Krishna is doing is very difficult. If we had to manage such a big arrangement, we would make chaos. Because our brain is too small. It's a small little lump of gray stuff between the ears, not capable of capturing all the information required in order to do such a big job. Even you take all of the computers in the whole planet, put them together, build huge, gigantic, super ones. they might be able to properly calculate maybe the course of one planet as it traverses through space. And I'm sure some physicists would disagree. So complicated the formulas required for understanding the relative position of planets and why they move as they move. We can't even understand that. And still we try to understand Krishna or imitate him. So no one can understand Krishna like this. Neither should one dare to make second guessing. Oh, why Krishna did like this? I would have done like that. Yes, but when Krishna does, it turns out successful at the end. Did it not? Yes. Everything turned out fine. So, just see. And in the material world, how many things you know of turn out fine at the end? At the end, often there is greater trouble and chaos and disaster. As one grows old, disease, dying, or his institution falls apart, or the building falls apart, or the society falls apart. These are basic rules. Things always end up this way. Some years, maybe 100, 200, 300, but it will take place, destruction, because that is the nature of this world. But Krishna works on time scales which are so inconceivable we can't even begin to understand. One breath, how long does that take? To breathe in and breathe out? 1 second? 2 seconds? But in 2 seconds of Mahavishnu's breathing, all universes are created and all universes are destroyed. For 100 years of Brahma's life and more, then everything's finished. And for us, this is such an inconceivably long time that we can't even calculate it without all kinds of scientific explanation, scientific notation, since there are so many zeros. And still, we dare to say, Krishna is doing like this. Who is he to do like this? We would have done like that. Well, that is absurd. Therefore, Lord Brahma, who is actually the creator of this material existence, and who certainly knows more about this universe than anyone else, because he put it there, he says, I offer my obeisances unto you, the eternal non-ending one. Namastubhyam anantaya. I offer my obeisances unto you because you are that non-ending, eternal, beyond the 3 phases of time, past, present, and future. We are captured by time. Yeah? Everyone is growing older. Every day. 1 day more is 1 day closer to the death. Yeah? And we are captured by time in that way. We're not free. We're not free to act as we like when we like. We are completely bound up. Even Lord Brahma. Even Lord Brahma can have the same philosophy. Every day more is 1 day closer to his death too. Although he's got a lot more days to count off. But we have also a long time of taking birth and dying again, taking birth and dying again. Therefore, for us, this death is not a death. It's simply an opportunity for another birth. So, our lifetimes may even be, when you get right down to it, longer than Lord Brahma's. Because we may be wandering around in this material world for a longer time than a lifetime of Brahma. Lord Brahma may be going back home, back to Godhead at the end of this lifetime. Some persons in the material world may not be. They'll take birth in another universe and start again. After being merged in the body of Mahavishnu for some time, So one may even have a longer duration of life in the material world than Lord Brahma. By only one cycle of creation and destruction. Many. It is inconceivable, of course, how one can be so foolish he won't surrender to Krishna by that time. How one can go on suffering through one creation after the next, thinking he's going to find enjoyment. I mean, you wonder when even such a stupid person learns. Even gorillas learn. They teach this gorilla sign language, so even gorillas can learn how to communicate with people through sign language. So you would imagine one living entity, after trillions and billions and zillions of years, he would want to surrender to Krishna after having his head knocked enough times. Dog's stubborn. No, I will not surrender to Krishna. I refuse. I'm going to stay in Maya forever and enjoy it. So go ahead, bang your head, as we said yesterday. Go ahead, get your head smashed. And go ahead, think you enjoy. But we'll see. One day you wake up. Of course, one may also receive the mercy of spiritual master or Krishna. They shorten the process of surrender. If you, by the mercy of Krishna, happen to run into a spiritual master, then you're able to overcome the bondage of this material nature without any difficulty. Without any difficulty means, comparatively speaking, there's some difficulty there. Not much. After all, can you imagine surrendering to Krishna if you live in the material world as a karmi without a spiritual master? It's impossible. Maybe little by little by little, but ultimately one has to surrender to spiritual master. Then there's a possibility of realizing Krishna. So that can shorten, that can cut this process, the length of time, down very far, so that one will be able to surrender to Krishna quicker. All these kind of tricks are there. How to surrender to the spiritual man, how to follow his instructions. Lord Brahma, he is directly instructed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself. Therefore, what he says is as good as the Vedic literature. In fact, the Vedic literatures are coming out of his mouth only. The Vedic literatures are actually emanating from the mouths of Lord Brahma. 4 Vedas, 4 mouths. So, these Vedas emanating from Lord Brahma, and when Lord Brahma speaks, that which he says is as good as Veda. Because he is directly instructed. His knowledge is coming from Krishna directly. Therefore, he is the best authority for the purest services. And one may say, then why Lord Chaitanya came to this world? The answer is quite simple. Because Lord Chaitanya flooded the whole world with love of Godhead. Even Lord Brahma could not do that. Lord Brahma, if he could flood the world with love of Godhead just by his own desire, we are quite sure he would have already done it. But because he cannot do, the Lord in his form as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gives him the facility. When Lord Chaitanya comes, Haridas Thakur is there, and Lord Brahma takes birth as Haridas Thakur to become the Namacharya of the holy name and give his pure devotional service, give the Lord's devotional service in that form. Only Lord Chaitanya can, without restriction, flood the place with love of Godhead. Or Lord Chaitanya's specifically empowered representatives. They take the Shakti of Lord Chaitanya and bring it throughout this world. So that Shakti or that energy may be manifesting in different ways. But we know it by the symptom. When you are able to get some love of Godhead, then you know you've got some proper source. If you're not a rascal, if one is not a rascal, then he can know he's got some proper source of knowledge. Otherwise, if one is a rascal, then even he's got a proper source of knowledge, he'll not be able to accept it. He'll not be able to surrender. He'll not be able to change. Because his whole life has become directed by the modes of nature. And sometimes when the mode of passion is prominent, then he acts in the mode of passion. Sometimes when the mode of ignorance is prominent, then he acts in the mode of ignorance. According to the way in which the modes of nature batter him like waves battering a boat, he will simply attain that particular kind of nature. That is because we are contaminated. Krishna is never contaminated. Therefore, he never attains such a state whereby, according to the situation of the modes of nature, he will also manifest in the same way. No. Krishna does not change. He's changeless. Therefore, even if the modes of nature change, they do not change in Krishna. They will always find a steady customer, steady personality who is never forced to change, but rather forces everything else to change. Krishna is the one that forces us to change, not that we force Krishna to change. That is the understanding of this Krishna consciousness. Therefore, for all of us to engage in Krishna's service, to always be acting for the satisfaction of the Lord, is something that you can do constantly, all the time. Because Krishna is always satisfied in similar fashion. He's not changing whimsically. Today you cook one kind of preparation, tomorrow another kind, because the taste bud has changed. Krishna will be satisfied with the preparation cooked with love and devotion every day. Krishna will be satisfied by proper hearing and chanting every day. Krishna will be satisfied by your devotional service every day. Not that only sometimes, this day he will feel not satisfied, that day he will feel satisfied, the other day maybe... No, that's the way of the ordinary person, the karmis, who are contaminated in this material world. Some days they're more satisfied than other days. Some things satisfy them more than other things. But Krishna, he's self-sufficient. He's satisfied then in and of himself. But he's more satisfied when his devotees are enjoying together with him in the spiritual world. That is the most satisfying thing of all. So Krishna consciousness is based on that understanding of how to satisfy Krishna. Our whole Krishna consciousness movement is based on how to satisfy Krishna, how to do something in such a way that Krishna will be pleased with us. This is the whole purpose of Krishna consciousness movement. How to somehow or another satisfy Krishna. And if one can do that, and by whatever means available, then his life will become sublime. Satisfying Krishna, engaging in Krishna's service, acting for the sake of the Lord, any of these things will start us on the path of devotional service. And that is perfection. And that will bring us to perfection as well. So let us try harder and harder to engage in Krishna's service more and more, and somehow surrender to him in love and devotion. And then we'll be able to understand the absolute truth and go back home, back to Godhead in pure transcendental bliss, which is what we actually want. All right, Hari.